Yeah, hi there. These comments are for JR. I like that as a nickname. And I am your English 107 instructor here at California State University, San Bernardino. And probably from the title of the video, you're not going to be happy. You got 63 out of 100 on this. You already know by going to YouTube, by seeing it. So what is it? What is it that throws this paper over the cliff? So what exactly happened here that did not work very well? So let me just try to give you an analogy for a minute, then let's look at your paper. So the start point in writing is very important, right? How you start it, what you do, the direction that you go from the beginning, that can have an impact on what happens in the remainder of the essay, right? So let's just think about driving for a minute. Let's say that you're trying to reach a destination and then you enter in the address to where you want to go, but you enter in the wrong coordinates. Think about it for a minute. Now the GPS sends you to what you programmed it to go, but you're not getting to where you want to be, correct? Because your destination, your start point wasn't good. Now, what am I saying? So the start point for this was a compare and contrast essay. Your purpose in the writing was to compare the process that you used in writing one of your projects and comparing that process to what Marius outlines in his article in our textbook on writing drafts. So let's look at your start point. So you say, throughout most of my years in school, every time I was assigned a writing assignment, I would take precautions that were a little different than that Marius speaks of. Even though I do in fact agree with some of his ideas, I am confident that my personal ideas are also as efficient. So what are you doing here? So instead of explaining how the processes are similar or different, you're saying that your ideas are as efficient as his, so your essay, it has more of an argumentative tone, but not a compare and contrast tone. How do I know that? Because you say this, I completely agree with this because according to Kathy Livingston in her article titled Guide to Writing a Basic Essay, she states that reviewing the small details in your essay is critical because those types of mistakes are the ones that will hurt the paper the most. So you are agreeing with what Marius is saying, but you're supposed to be comparing with what he says. In another paragraph you say, as I stated before, this seems like a good idea, but it also might just completely mess me up, as it'll keep making me think that I have more and more things to change as I make more drafts. I personally believe that the perfect number of drafts is 2. And on and on and on. So again, instead of comparing and contrasting, you're more into the argumentative realm of writing, which is it's a good way to write. Making arguments is certainly fine, but unfortunately that's not what we were trying to do in this writing project. So that is the issue that I have. So let's take a look at each of your topic sentences. You say, in his article, Marius states several tips that caught my attention. It doesn't say anything about comparing and contrasting anything. We go to another paragraph. You say, I have written many good papers in the past using valuable techniques that I've snatched up along the road of my education. That's not really comparing and contrasting anything. Now, what we want to do now is to contrast what you wrote. Let me give you an idea of a student who got a 98. Remember, you got a 63. This student gets much higher score. So let's look at her thesis first. She says, by analyzing our writing styles, I concluded that we have similar but different approaches. For example, we both believe that keeping an open mind leads to new thoughts, but the way we differ is based on the multiple drafts we write, and how he believes that distractions lead us to forget our initial thoughts. To illustrate the differences and similarities between Marius and my approach to writing, I'm going to compare my writing assignment for my Math 110 class to Marius's process of writing. You see that? So that's what I call a compare and contrast type thesis. So it's very clear what the writer is doing based on the thesis. Then the writer is able to organize these ideas in the body paragraphs So let's take a look at paragraph 2. So the writer says, Marius and I are similar in our idea of keeping an open mind. So then the writer illustrates that over about 100 words. She talks about how Marius is open, has an open mind regarding writing, and then the writer talks about how she has an open mind toward writing. In the next paragraph, she says, on the other hand, Marius and I differ on the number of drafts we write. Notice in the topic sentence, she includes Marius and I differ in the number of drafts that we write. And then she says, my initial view of distractions and breaks deviate from Marius' perspective. Then in her final paragraph, she says, in conclusion, Richard, Marius, and I have both similarities and differences in our writing process, and then she kind of ties it all up. So what happened here? So for you, because you really didn't compare and contrast and you spent more time arguing, you lost a lot of points in the second category with your thesis. It says in the grading thing, clear compare and contrast thesis, which frames the essay. No, you did not do that. Another one says, establishes a clear compare and contrast pattern of development. You did not do that, so you got 1 point there. Now, another one that's interesting enough is MLA documenting and formatting. Source materials are conventionally documented according to MLA style documentation. The answer is no for 2 reasons. Number 1, you had no works cited section at the end of the paper. Number 2, you're not putting the in-text citations within those body paragraphs after 3 things: summaries, paraphrases, and quotes. Go to Google. Here are your key words. What is an in-text citation for MLA research papers? How about that? And take a look at that. You're not doing that. So once you investigate and understand that, then you want to incorporate that into your writing. Now what you can also do, JR, is go to Blackboard. The good news is I have a lot of resources at Blackboard. So at Blackboard, go to essay number 2. There's a folder that says formatting and integrating sources into your writing. You can click on that and you can take a look at a model paper, a model MLA research paper, and some other tools in there to help you so you can control who is saying what in your writing. Overall, to sum up, you got a 63 on the paper. However, all is not lost. You still have Essay 2 20 points, Essay 3 30 points, and some other points in there here and there. So you need to get very strong scores on the second and third papers. That will help you immensely, and that will help erase this low score you got on the first paper. But you need to make these changes and make them soon as you're completing this second writing project. Now, my advice for you is pretty simple. Write your paper in advance. Come by my office maybe on Wednesday. You can come by on Friday, and I will take a look at what you have. I'll give you some great feedback. I'll let you know what works, what doesn't work. You can make some changes. You can come back and talk to me again. So the more times you consult, I think the better you're going to be. And you'll definitely do a lot better on this essay number 2 and essay number 3. All right, so thank you for completing the project for English 107, and have a good day.